that's kind of like the free flowing way of like the podcast, but I think we're good right there. Yeah.
Yours is like right against it and mine's not, but like, is this okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear? Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. That's fine.
That's fine.
I just didn't know if it was going to like mess with the quality of the...
The wavelengths are pretty good, so you're
Okay.
you're good. I know how to edit all that stuff out.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to what was previously known as Johnny Reviews, now is the Slice of Life podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, on the other side of the table that we're slicing up today, Kasey. Kasey meets World, but it's not meets World. What's your last name, Kasey, so people know?
So my last name is Dellapenna.
Yeah.
It's very Italian.
Very
Very Italian, yes.
It's okay. I had a Portuguese yesterday. I had Mitchell. And I was just like, Mitch May. Kasey Dellapenna.
Yeah.
That sounds,
Well, yeah, you said it very...
that sounds very Hispanic.
Yes. Yeah. I get that all the time, especially with my dark complexion and hair and eyes.
100%. That makes perfect sense.
But no, very Italian. Was raised in a very small like community of basically everyone that back home was like Italian.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have that until I moved down here.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone's like, oh, you're like Latina or like, you know, you something. And I speak a little Spanish, but nothing crazy.
You came to Hispanic Nation. I mean, there's just like, Miami or Florida in general is just like a lot more Dominican, Puerto Rican, and like Brazilian, but like, there's just a lot of like Southern America people in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
Like you go to Texas, you go to Cali. That's a prominently Mexican.
Yeah.
But over here, it's just because of the islands and stuff like that. So,
it's closer, yeah. And like obviously like Puerto Ricans, you know, like you said, Dominicans, stuff like that. So it's nice because I took 4 years of Spanish in high school.
So it comes in like
like I can read it pretty well, but and I can kind of like understand you, but I need you to like slow down if you speak it to me.
Yeah.
And then I get like really nervous when I do speak it, so I get really shy and then I don't end up like trying to use it, but. I speak a little bit, but no, I'm just
a little bit.
Very Italian. I speak more Spanish than Italian though, so.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Does that not concern you at all? Like.
Well, I mean, I say I'm Italian, but like technically, you know, my great grandparents are from Italy, so no one in my family speaks Italian anymore. You know, so like it's been generations.
It's so weird. I'm happy. I'm glad that I learned Spanish and like at a young age. I just think, one, I'm closer to my parents, my family, and I love the like Mexican culture because of that.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, if you knew Italian, I think you would you would ingrain yourself to more Italian roots, and like I just feel like anything. Like I'm learning. I took French, like 3 years of French, and I'm like, all right, I can appreciate it a little bit. Like I love going to France and. France over there in the Ep.25.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like
checking it out.
Like, oh, enchanté, comment t'appelles-tu?
As like a traveler, it's very dangerous for me to go to Epcot now because everyone I see, I'm like reading their name tags.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're from this, like, you know, city in this country, and I've been there, and like, and then I just like I'm talking to them, you know.
Kasey meets World. So for all of my audience that don't know who you are, this is the reason why I wanted you to come on. You did, what was that called, 30 for 30?
That's what I'm aiming for.
That's what you're aiming for.
I'm aiming for, yes.
But you've gone to all these really cool places, and you've had really cool experiences. Tell us about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? Who is Kasey?
Okay, a little bit of a loaded question.
100%.
So like I said, I was born in the Midwest. So I'm from Ohio, born and raised there. Went to school there.
Ohio.
Yeah. OH.
Dude, I don't know. I'm not from the Midwest. I'm just like...
Everyone goes OH, and then you're supposed to go IO. But I went to Bowling Green, which is not Ohio State. So I'm always like, just go Falcons. Yeah, there we go.
Yeehaw, that's right.
Yeah,
so
middle
like
cornfields, very flat. Yeah.
Corn-fed.
So I grew up there, went to college in Ohio, and that's when I got my first opportunity to travel without my parents. Like growing up, my parents were we were a very like mobile family. Right. I have 2 brothers, and so the 5 of us we would go in our motorhome and we would travel like out west or down here. Yeah. My grandparents have a house down here, so we were constantly like, you know, just traveling a lot, on the move.
So you weren't born here. You were saying you were born over there, but you have family that's all here.
No. So I was born in Ohio, like born, raised, went to the same school my entire, from pre-K to
all the way up to
graduated with the same people I went to preschool with type of situation. Yeah. So very small town. But my grandparents have a house down here in Fort Myers.
Okay.
Yeah. So they do like, they're snowbirds, you know? So they, yeah. So they'll go down like for 6 months, not 6 months, like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And then they'll go back to Ohio. And so
they're like, fuck the cold.
Yeah. And we always had a place to stay. So they were like,
100%.
come visit.
Come to the humidity. Come to the sunshine state.
So like some of my fondest and like strongest memories of being a child is in that house down in Fort Myers. And like the smell of suntan lotion and like chlorine to this day reminds me of that.
That's funny.
But yeah, so like we just grew up like traveling a lot. And then when I went to college, the summer after my freshman year, I got the opportunity to study abroad in France. So I was there for about 6 weeks.
Okay.
And I just like, I got bit by the travel bug.
Travel bug right there.
Yeah.
That's what got you.
Right then and there, I was just like, I love this. I want more of this. I don't plan to stop. And then
this was when? This was like the first year of college, second year of college?
Yeah. So right after summer of freshman year. So it was 2013.
Okay.
So 2013 was the first time I left the US or like North America. Cause I'd been to Canada, but I went, I visited, about 5 or 6 countries while I was over there. Like Ireland and Belgium and Spain, did a lot of France. And then when I came back, I did a college program for Disney. And that's when I decided I wanted
DCP.
Yes, ESPN, quick service food and beverage.
Oh, God. ESPN, quick
I
service.
didn't
QSFP.
even know that was a thing.
What, that? Like
ESPN.
Were you expecting like, oh, ESPN? I didn't either. Honestly, when I came here, I was like, whoa, like I'm second guessing how big fucking Disney is. And then I saw ESPN and all that stuff. I was like, whoa, I like ESPN though. Like it's a really cool place.
Well, like so when I moved, I grew up coming to Disney too. This wasn't.
Like,
it wasn't new to me, but like when I was standing in line, because back then for my DCP, you had to like stand in line to get like your assignment with like in Vista Way. There was like a whole lineup, and you just stood outside. Yeah, Vista Way.
I was actually Chatham. I was like, I don't know.
Oh no, I was Vista Way. I got like the DCP initiation, like Vista Way all the way. And I was just remembering, like I was thinking, like, please don't put me in a resort, anything but a resort. And I'm like, I get up there, I'm like, I don't even care what park it is, I just don't want a resort. And then I get ESPN, and I'm like, what is this? Like, I was like, I don't even know what to do with this.
Man, what did you say when you found out you were quick service food and beverage? Because that's what they tell you first. Like,
so yeah, they did tell me that.
I was attractions.
Yeah.
And then fucking parking is attractions.
Yeah.
Like
kind of got duped.
I'm over here. Yeah, for real. Fuck them. I was just like, okay,
what?
like wait a minute. I won't find out until the week prior. Luckily, one of my roommates, he knew like somebody that knows. So we found out like 3 weeks in advance, and I was like, fuck. I got parking. What the hell? Like, this is stupid. I was just like,
well, I mean, quick service food and beverage. I've done that. I've done food my entire life, so I was like, oh, it's all right, whatever, I can do it. I
can manage it.
And I was like, I knew it's only going to be a couple months, so I'm not like too stressed about it. It was more just like the location that I was like, oh man. But then I graduated college. Went and visited a friend in France for a couple of weeks, and connected with another friend who lives in France. She's like French born, raised, and everything. And maybe I'll hook you guys up and you can talk. Learn the French.
Yeah, man. Like, I'm telling you, like anybody, what race, whatever. Just come on here. Just tell me about your life, man.
Yeah, exactly. Teach me a few words.
Teach me a few words. I'm like, serenata. That's like Japanese, but I started learning that because I'm in merchandise.
Like
so
2 or 3 words in Japanese. That's it.
Sarinata. That's how you say bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was like, bye.
So then, so I went back to visit again, and then I moved down here that following semester, like after I graduated, and I did a second college program, and I ended up in.
You got bit by that bug too.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because at that point I was like, oh, I want to work for Disney. 100%. I'm trying to make that like my thing.
Disney,
Yeah, everything Disney. I still love it, but I just ended up like not doing that. So I did a second college program as a seater at Crystal Palace.
Oh, you were. Yeah, you did say that. You said Crystal Palace.
And then I quickly was like, wow, maybe Magic Kingdom wasn't really. Maybe the parks weren't really like what I thought. Yeah.
You ever? I don't know. Like, I don't know if you've worked at other parks, but merchandise. lets you go to all these different parks and you can
pick up.
yes.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love like not I guess it's like a nomadic way of thinking, but I'm just like, man, I can go to all these places. Well, love it. Resorts, yeah. Like parks,
it's a change of pace. Yeah.
Yes.
No, at Crystal Palace, I was working 60 hours a week. So
Yes.
like I was literally, I couldn't get deployed because they needed me there.
Yeah.
So I was literally always at Crystal Palace.
Dude, that sucks. Because what I was gonna ask was, do you feel like there's like an aura that people that like there's just like this attitude when people work at Magic? I've felt that. It just everybody gets overwhelmed. Everybody gets like,
well, because it's
like
just crazy.
Yes,
it's so crazy there.
I go work at Hollywood Studios. Everyone's having fun. Everybody's like loving it. Everybody's just like all that environment is crazy, but I love it there.
Well, I think I experienced the very two opposite ends of the spectrum where ESPN's super chill. Like,
super chill. I love
like
it there.
the managers are very like hands off there.
Yeah.
Like you had to call somebody and wait like 20 minutes for them to show up. And then you go to Magic Kingdom where everything's like bump outs and like you are on a strict schedule. And it was definitely the two all like, but when I was at ESPN, I got deployed a lot. So I got to do like the Epcot Princess Half Marathon, and I got to do like Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach and all of that. So I got to move around a little bit there, but so I tried that, tried to work for Disney, decided quickly. I was like, it's probably not really what I thought I wanted to do.
What made you think differently?
It was like, I love Disney.
Everybody
I don't want to say anything like bad about Disney. Here's the thing.
I'm not associated with Disney at all. I love talking about a lot of shit. Even if it is Disney, because Disney needs to be talked shit about, because sometimes it sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, there's some things in there that kind of suck.
I think I like to keep my love of Disney separate than my works. Like I don't need to necessarily work there and have it be my whole life to love it. And
I get burnt out going to the parks a lot. That's why I flavor. I don't know. I love going to the parks. Kind of like, not in a whim, but like just enjoying maybe like weekly to 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, I still love going to Disney.
Yeah.
I think that's what kind of got me. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. But having free access to the parks is like the best perk of working for me.
Yes, especially when you first get here.
Oh, yeah. And you're just going crazy. You're like, when can I get in? When can I get in?
Yeah. And then like you're just there 24/7 for 3 to 4 months. And I'm just like, dude, you can't get enough.
Now I'll come for like a couple hours and I'll leave or whatever. But
yeah, because now we see it like, man, I can come back whenever I want.
Whatever. It's fine. Yeah. Now I can't right now because they are not selling annual passes and I'm not a cast member. So I'm kind of struggling. I'm like, man, I want to go so bad. But yeah, so I think what kind of pushed me away was that I wasn't really making the money that I thought I should be making. Okay. I was working like crazy hours and I was still only like meeting ends. And so I wanted to, I have a business degree. So I was like, I want to move into corporate, what I went to school for. And so I get this fancy corporate job and they're telling me, you're going to travel and you're going to do this, you're going to do that. We're going to set you up with like a nice salary, benefits, all Disney. This stuff. No, outside of Disney.
Outside of Disney.
I left Disney. Yeah. So I took this job, right?
I was like, what Disney job is that? I want that. I was like,
yeah, I know. If you find that job, let me know.
Let me know.
But yeah, so I took this job and 2 months into it, all hell broke loose. Like they fired our CEO, they restructured the company. And I did research on this company before I accepted the offer too. Right. So it was just a huge blow to me. And I was like, you know what? Corporate America does not give a shit about you. And there's more to my life than working a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday and then living for the weekends or my 1 week a year that I get to take vacation,
100%.
And, going back to the small town, like everybody where I'm from, like they go to Myrtle Beach every summer and that's like their one vacation and they never really go anywhere else and they never really experience other places. And for me, like, once I got that travel bug, I was like, I can't do this,
Right.
So once everything kind of went to hell with that job, I decided, this is the time. I am single. I have no kids. I have like no major attachments, like no big car payments, nothing like that to
really kind of like hold you down.
Yeah. So I let my lease run out in the summer of 2018 down here. I moved all of my stuff back to Ohio. And then I had bought a one-way ticket to Europe. And I was gone. Like, yeah. And that started like a year and a half of just intense travel.
Like
Kasey Meets World. Yeah. I started a blog. I I started, posting on my Instagram all the time, like things like that. I mean, I'm not like huge by any means, but I just love sharing what I do.
No, I mean, shit. Like, the same right here. Like, I just love sharing what I do. And it's just like, especially for your perspective, this doesn't matter if it helps out 1 or 10 or 30 or 100 people. You have a perspective that I feel like people are like, how do I do that? Because they even asked you too, like,
all the time.
Like, what did you do? Did you sell everything? And like that time at the party, we were just like talking, like, whoa, did you don't have a car? Like, how did you travel? Or like, how did you just? And I was just kept asking you questions. So at that point, I was like, hey, listen, I have a podcast. You want to talk?
Might as well just get it out all there. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So kind of my pre-planning, I knew for about 8 months that I'd wanted to do this, and I was like, I'm gonna set a goal of how much money I want to have in my bank account before I leave, because I'm quitting my job to do this, and I wasn't gonna be working. I wasn't gonna have an income.
Right.
So I was just kind of at that point, I was like, I'm just gonna kind of like travel till my money runs out. Probably like not great, but like also whatever. It happens.
I'm 20.
Yeah,
22.
Like, I was 24.
Oh.
I'm a little old. 26. Anyway, yeah. So I was 24, but
20s are still young. Let's just clarify that. Like,
okay, you're not old. Yeah.
No, like maybe you get like those midlife whatever, but you get those every decade. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I think 20s are like the best years to go and do stuff. Like,
yeah.
go do whatever you want.
For sure.
Exactly.
Because like I stay in a lot of hostels. Which,
oh yeah, I was gonna ask you about that, because you did mention that, and that whole idea of like hostel living, is that gonna change even after like post COVID?
I think so.
Like that, because that was a luxury for a lot of like travelers,
for budget travelers.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I know. I was just reading about that the other day. And I'm kind of bummed about it, because I think it's going to change a little bit, because, in a hostel, you're paying $15-$20 a night. In Europe, in Asia, it's like Southeast Asia was like $8 a night,
right,
to stay in these rooms with like maybe 6 to 10 other people.
right.
And, with COVID, like that's just not, they're not going to let you do that anymore.
No.
Like I can't even get into anywhere at this point, with my passport.
Yeah.
Just because no one's really accepting us. And if they are, it's a 2-week, quarantine. Yeah. So I think it's going to change drastically, but that leads me to my other way that I did this. So the reason I was able to travel so long, that first stint that I did, was because I did a thing called WOOF. So it's wwoof.org. And basically what you do is you sign up for this website. It was $40 for the entire year, and you get a membership. And for that whole entire year, you can do it as much as you want. And it stands for Worldwide Organization of Organic Farming. So I was matched with a family in Italy on a vineyard. They own like their own small little vineyard.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And so I traveled over there and I stayed with them. It's just a family of 5. I stayed with them in their farmhouse. It was like 250 years old for 6 weeks. And Monday through Thursday, I would wake up at like 6:30, 7 o'clock. We'd go pick grapes out in the fields for a few hours.
That's so awesome.
The views were incredible.
I bet.
Yeah,
I bet.
The whole time.
What part of Italy? Is it,
so it's called Montefiascone.
Dude.
It's a mouthful.
Sounds very
very Italian.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
It sounds really cool. I don't know, like that whole Italian, French, and Spanish, man. What you learn that trifecta? Oh, you're
golden. You're set. Yeah. Yeah. So Montefiascone is about an hour and a half, 2-hour train ride north of Rome.
Okay.
So it's very small town. Like you get like that Italian like countryside feel. And like it was some of the best weeks. Like I was truly, truly happy when I was there, because it was just amazing. Like, yeah, obviously I'm waking up at 6:30 to go pick grapes. Like, is it the most glamorous job in the world? No. But am I on the other side of the world? Like, yes, like living the dream. And then on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would go and explore like whatever city or country that I wanted to go to.
That's so dope.
Yeah.
Like, so Monday through Thursday, you probably had like your schedule set. And then like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and probably like the weekend, that's like I guess that's the way to kind of like, you get 4 days of just, all right, and I'm gonna go explore the unexplored. I haven't done anything, like, I want to go to Spain. I want to go to it, especially because it's so close,
so small. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Thanks. Yeah. So I got to do like Venice, Milan, Rome, Naples, Sorrento, Positano, the Amalfi Coast, like all of that.
All of that.
I got to do Santorini and Athens, which was like the that was just like my dream.
That was
so
your peak, or that
yeah,
was
like Sister to the Traveling Pants. I don't know
Wow.
if anybody else out there, but ever since that movie, I was just like, I want to go to Greece. And then I got into Greek mythology a lot. I like to read. I like to read a lot. Yeah. But Greek mythology. And I was like, I have to go to Athens and I have to go to Santorini. And I want, and Santorini is like a honeymoon destination. A lot of people go there for their honeymoons or romantic getaways. And I'm like, backpacking with my friend, like just staying in a hostel like right on the beach, and I'm like, I don't need a man or a relationship to like take me to Santorini. I'm gonna do that all on my own.
Preach, girl, preach. There's all these women out here that are like, fuck, man, let's just go do it ourselves. I'm just kidding.
No, 100%. That's one of the biggest questions I get is like, are you scared to travel alone? Was that intimidating or whatever? And maybe at first, like my first trip was with a study abroad program. So like I was with people. So it was a nice like introduction. Mm-hmm. But I just realized, I was like, if I wait for something to happen to me, it's never going to happen. If I wait for the right person or the right time, it's never going to happen. So you just have to make it happen. And I'm a very social person. So it was just easy for me to like meet people at hostels. Hostels are like a perfect situation for you to meet people.
Right.
Because you're staying at like places with like like I said, 10 other people at times. They have rooftop bars. They have like
I've seen some
tours.
really cool like hostels, and I'm just like, man, I would want to do this one day. Just
do it.
I know.
100% do it.
Oh, keep going.
No, just like that's just how you meet people. Like 1 second I'm in Japan. And then I decided I wanted to fly from Japan to Seattle. And I'm like, oh, well, it's $700 to fly from Japan to Seattle. Well, let me see if I have a layover for a few days in Hawaii. Wow. What would happen? And it cost the same amount. I spent the same amount of money flying to Hawaii, having 2-3 days there, and then flying to Seattle as I would have just flying straight to Seattle. Yeah. And I'm like, 1 second I'm in Japan. The next second I'm like hiking up a mountain in Hawaii with a bunch of people I just met like that morning. And it's incredible. Like, I miss it so much. Yes.
If that's a question, I missed it so much.
I missed it so much. Yes.
No. Okay. So talk about where, what 30 for 30 is, because I think you kind of explained it to me. But all the places, I guess, that you can remember and recall going, just like pop.
So I have a list.
Do you have it like on your phone?
I do actually. Okay. This wonderful app called Been, Been. It's really cool, and it keeps track of everywhere that I have been. That's cool. Ironically. Yeah. So 30 by 30 is something I just recently came up with. So it's like pretty new. It was actually like 2020. I came up with that just because I think a lot
to come up with that.
Right. Yeah. When you can't go anywhere. Exactly. So I think I just decided it because I was like, it gives me a kind of a goal to work towards. Right. And I know, I think it's a lot of people do it in the travel community, but it was just something that I was like, oh, okay, I can strive for this and I can kind of like make it happen. And I think it's pretty feasible for me because I've been to 18. So if you'd like, I can read it off to you.
Read it off. You're not just reading it to me, you're reading it to other people.
All the followers. Yes. Got it. Okay. So in Europe, I've been to Belgium, England, lived in France a little bit. Germany, Greece, Ireland, Italy, lived there for a little bit, Spain, Switzerland, and the Netherlands. And then in Asia, I've done Japan and Thailand. And then in North America, I've done Canada, the Cayman Islands, Haiti, Mexico, the Bahamas, obviously the United States. And then you can actually also go individually into the United States and put the states that you've been to. Wow. I won't read all 26 that I've been to, but it's mainly like the north, like the coast. I've been like all up the coast pretty much, except for like when you start to get into like New England. And then I've been on the entire West Coast. Okay. So I'm
Texas. You haven't never been in Texas.
I've been to Texas. Yes. I went to Austin.
That's right. You did say that. I remember that. I was like,
yes,
Austin.
I went there in March. No, 2019 March. There we go.
2019 March.
Yeah.
Before COVID.
Before COVID.
Yes.
Before our world was completely rocked. But yeah, so that's my other goal is 50 states, in my lifetime. But I think, so going kind of back to earlier when I was saying like, you're staying in a hostel, like being young, I'm not going to stay in a hostel when I'm like 60, that's just, that's so you have to do it now. Yes. Exactly. And so I think for me, getting on a flight to Thailand, it took me almost a full 24 hours to get there with my 2 layovers, and the flights, they're just insanely long. Yeah. So, I'm not going to want to do that when I'm like older, and it's harder for people to fly when they get older and things like that. So my goal right now is just do as much as I can out before I like get older, and then I start going to like more of the States.
Right.
So
okay.
50.
So you're saying the States are kind of like long term.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to go to all 50 states. I guess
yeah, like I will, but like in the far future.
In the far future.
Now I'm just like the farthest I can get from the States, the better. I just want to hit everything I can. Yeah.
That's funny.
I actually was supposed to move to Australia this year.
Aussie, down under.
Yeah. But that was
not gonna happen.
Yeah, I believe that things happen for a reason. So
everybody says that. Like Mitch said that, Savannah said that, and you said that so far.
Well, there's some truth to it.
There is some truth to it. I agree.
Yeah, I was supposed to move to Australia, and I was like, this just isn't really working out financially. There was a lot to set up. I just didn't really feel like it was the right timing.
Right.
And then I decided to move down here instead for a few months. I just I sublet from somebody and just moved like my car down here, like whatever I could fit in my car. And
that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I moved here in January, and the Australian wildfires happened.
Fuck.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad that I was not in Australia. Yeah. And then 2 months later, COVID happens, and I'm like, I would have spent all of that money, all that time to like get all that stuff like set up and over there. And then I would have had to make the decision, do I do lockdown in a foreign country with nobody, or do I, cut my losses and lose out on a bunch of money and go home? So I think it was kind of just life being like, this is where you need to be. Yeah. So
that at that time, when did you come home? Where were
so
you
the
at?
timeline.
Yeah, because I was like, the COVID happened, I guess, differently in so many different places. Like, our lockdown was like in March.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know where you were at that time, but I was listening.
I was here. So,
you were already here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay.
Quick, we'll finish the timeline. So 2018, July of 2018, I fly to Europe, spend about 4 or 5 months there, and then came back. Then I went to Japan for 2 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would go to Japan. Japan
literal
really
trip
cool.
around the world. Go
Jet
to Japan.
lag, I bet that's a thing.
Okay, but no. So when I was flying, I was only flying in like 6-hour increments.
Oh,
really.
Okay, so they would stop and then.
Well, because it was a personal thing. So like I flew from here to Europe, so that's only 6-hour time difference.
Okay.
So that was a quick and easy adjustment.
Yeah.
And then when I spent my 4 months there and I finished, I flew to Japan, which was only another 6-hour time difference.
Whoa.
So that flight was an easy adjustment.
Gotcha.
I spent 2 weeks in Japan, and I got quickly adjusted. And then I kind of flew back in time into Hawaii.
That's weird. Like
It's so weird.
You're going past, like before time, like time's going this way. You're like, I'm like backtrack. Like I don't want to turn.
You go from being 12 hours ahead to 6 hours behind.
That's so sketchy.
So weird. Yeah. So that one I think kind of threw me for a loop, but I did sleep on the plane a lot.
Okay.
But then I went to the West Coast, which is about an hour from like 4 hour forward from Hawaii. Yeah. Gets a little confusing.
Yeah.
And then from the West Coast, I went back home. So like I only jumped maybe about 6 hours at a time. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it wasn't like I, woke up the next day and I was like 14 hours ahead, and I'm supposed to be sleeping at, at 3 a.m. and instead I'm like wide awake. Especially like, at least for that trip. So yeah, so then I went to Japan, and then I went to Hawaii for a few days, and then I came back and I hit the West Coast with my family.
Okay.
My mom, my aunt, and my grandma met me, and we drove down the coast of California, went to Disneyland, and then I flew home. And then for all of 2019 was basically just like living out of my parents' house. Where can I go? So I came down here and stayed in Fort Myers for a month. I went to Thailand for a month. I went to Japan for a few weeks, went to Mexico on a cruise with my friends for a week. Just kind of whatever opportunity I could take, I did.
Right.
Yeah. And then end of 2019, I was like, I really need to figure out what I'm doing, maybe like save up some money, move back to Orlando, see if it's like something that I wanted to
kind of like go back into.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then I moved down here, and then like not even 2 months later, COVID. And yep. And COVID was just like a wake up call. I was like, no, I'm not ready to settle down. No. Yeah. I can't do that.
It's crazy. Like, there's so many different perspectives after like the COVID happened. Like your perspective, I don't like people are gonna see it so differently. They're like, I think it's time to settle down, or I think it's time to like bunker down and do all that stuff. And then you're over here like, no, this ain't it. No, I need
not for me.
Exactly, and it's insane. Like, what do you think of COVID right now? Like, how much that has affected like your personal growth, or has it been a benefit?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Not personally. I think COVID's kind of like a traveler's worst nightmare in some ways, just because when I moved down here, I said, okay, you know, I haven't been to South America. And I think while I'm here, I'm going to spend, I'm going to do like shorter trips because like I'll have a job, so I won't be able to like take off as long.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I'll go to Puerto Rico, I'll go to Ecuador, I'll go to Colombia, you know, Cuba, wherever I can go.
Cuba.
And then lockdown happened and I can't go anywhere. So this is the longest. So from January to now is the longest I've been without leaving the country since 2018.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I bet that's killing you.
Yes.
How was your upbringing, by the way? Like that's another question. I was like, you said that you travel
with my family.
Yeah, vacationed a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's so someone that does. I feel like someone that goes out a lot. I feel like that's later on implemented in how you kind of like decision make. I guess because I went to Disney when I was 8.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I was like,
that was your first time?
That was my first time ever.
Okay.
And that was a struggle. Like my parents they were trying to make it like we got the cheapest everything we could, but I loved everything about it.
Yeah.
And I came back like 2015 and I was like, holy shit, this is a new, like you experience it differently when you're
an adult.
You're 8 and then you experience it differently when you're like 18. And I'm like, dude, I love it here. And I think I got bit by the Disney bug
yeah,
right there.
Uh-huh.
I ended up like searching up the DCP. Everything was like new to me. I was like, I know what I'm doing. I'm coming to Orlando.
Well, I didn't realize you could work for Disney. Like
no.
At all. Like I didn't think that was a thing.
Yeah, like
I came to Disney my entire life and I didn't realize until I was just graduating high school that people like I was like, I don't know what cast member. I didn't even know like cast members existed. Like I'm like, yeah, obviously people run this place, but like I don't know where they come from.
I think they stay there and they just you know like they don't never go home.
Yes. I was like, I don't know. I was like so sheltered about that, and I think it was just like boom. Like so, I remember like standing in line at Big Thunder Mountain, and this woman in front of me, she was probably like early 20s at the time. She was talking about like, oh, I have to go to work after this. Like I have to go like, you know, and she's like, I'm like, just like eavesdropping. And she's talking to like her mom about like where she works at and stuff. And I'm like, wait, you can work at Disney?
What?
Oh my God.
And then you're like, excuse me, miss, what do you do again?
How do you do that?
Is that
and actually it wasn't until college, like not maybe a year later or not even when I heard about the DCP. And then I was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
But no, Disney's actually tied into my travels a lot because I've been to Tokyo Disneyland.
Oh, so yeah, you've
Disney
gone
Paris.
Wow. So did you go to all 6 then? Like all 6
No.
places? What's the other ones? Hong Kong?
Shanghai and Hong Kong, yeah. I've been Hong Kong,
Paris. Oh yeah, okay.
Disney World, Disneyland, been to both of those a couple of times. Paris I've been twice. Tokyo I've been twice, and then Shanghai and Hong Kong. Yes. And I haven't been to those ones yet.
Yeah,
but
those are I would say those are really cool. But I don't know which one's the one that's independently owned. I think or like
Tokyo.
Tokyo. That's the one.
So Oriental Land Company owns Tokyo.
Yeah.
So basically, they just kind of like bought the rights to Disney. Yeah. So Disney Sea. So it's cool because they
do their own thing. That's why I like it.
Tokyo Disney is situated like maybe an hour outside of Tokyo itself, and it's right on the bay. And so they have Tokyo Disneyland, and then they have Disney Sea. And I'm like, clever, you know? But Disney
would try to do
Sea,
anything to bang for their buck, man. That's crazy.
Hands down, Disney Sea. Go to Disney Sea. If you go to no other park in the world, go to Disney Sea.
Go to Disney Sea.
They have an entire like mermaid lagoon, which is all Little Mermaid. Like
really?
A live show where they strap someone to like cables and throw her like out over the audience, and she's like singing and doing flips. They have an entire Arabian coast for Aladdin.
That is insane.
Yeah, it's so cool. They have Journey to the Center of the Earth, which is like a giant. There's like a giant mountain in the middle of Disney Sea. They have a Toy Story. They have a Soarin'. It's so cool. Like the attention to detail there is incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It's crazy. And, you know, no matter if we like bash on Disney or not, like it's insane. There's so many people that love Disney for so many different reasons. You can love it for the business aspect. You can love it for the imagination aspect. You can love it for the film aspect. There's like that whole umbrella of what Disney is, and then like
what it means to you.
Yes. And then like so many different people either, you know, quit their jobs. They think like, I talked to somebody, right? He's a former cast member, and he's like, yeah, man, I was a lawyer. Hey, and you're working here? He's like, I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I love it here, man. I love it. My family's here. Everybody's here. It's just like, I guess he wanted to be in the bubble, and
he did, yeah.
And it was just, it made him feel good, and seeing that's the thing I respect about it. It's just like, it's like, yeah, there's some pros and cons to it, but at the end of the day, if it makes you feel good, and
it makes
whatever.
you feel good. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah, that's like, I think the two big things for me are like Disney and travel, and I've found a way to like
incorporate both.
Yeah, and
that's very cool.
It's really cool because I have an aunt that I'm super close with, and she's like, she's never been married, never had children, anything like that, and we're just like super close. And she traveled a lot too when I was growing up, and then like once I started getting old enough to do that with her, we've done like a few trips here and there together. But it was really cool that I've now been able to take her to, because I went to Disneyland Paris first with a friend, right, and then I took her back, and
it makes you feel so good, right?
Yeah.
Like I had my park comp tickets, whatever, and I'm just like, yeah, guys, like if y'all come in, like especially because now I have like the house here, and it's just like, yeah, dude, just come
stay
here
with me.
Yeah, everything's here. Yeah, free. Like you can do whatever you want.
I will set you up. Yeah, yes. Like people dream about this.
Yes, all you gotta do is pay for that flight. I know COVID sucks, but it's, you know, see, like it just makes me feel good that I can share that with like other, especially family members. Like a lot of my family haven't experienced that Disney experience, and I'm just like, no, dude,
I'll take care of you.
Come here. Like I'll give you that whole experience. Y'all ready to walk? Because I'm telling you, this is a workout.
Put your shoes on.
Yes.
It's so funny because she will walk circles around me. Like
that's crazy.
You know, because like when you live here, you kind of take it for granted. So you're like, 100%. Oh, you know, like I'll come for the parks for a few hours and then I'll leave or whatever. And then she's like, no, you know, we're waking up, we're doing rope drop all the way to like kiss goodnight at the castle, like 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need a break. And she's like, nope, we're going.
Come on,
we're
let's go.
I remember though. So it was really nice because last year we went to, Tokyo Disney. So I went first when I was visiting my friend, and then I was like, and Cheryl, you have to go to Tokyo Disney. It's so cool. And we were looking up tickets. It was $600, which like $600 is a lot of money, but that's cheap.
Is that incorporated to like dollars or because
$600 US.
What?
To fly from Pitt.
Kidding. Never mind. To fly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, wait. I'll give you a little rundown.
All right.
So it was $600 for us to fly from Pittsburgh to Tokyo.
That makes sense.
So $600 round trip per person. That's really not that bad.
That's not that bad. That's why I was like getting confused. I'm like, Disney tickets are $600.
No. No, the tickets there are actually cheaper than Disney tickets here.
Shit.
So I think we went to the parks. So there's 2 parks. We went 4 days for less than $300 or like $300. Okay. Just about. So, and then the hotel that we stayed at was like kind of like a Good Neighbors, like sister property that they had, like $100 a night. So, I mean, it was really affordable. I mean, like the ticket was probably our biggest expense when we were there. Japan's not the cheapest country, but like it was still cool. And I got to take her, and we're at the airport, and we're trying to figure out like our situation, like how we're going to get from the airport to where we were staying at. And she just kind of looked at me and she was like, you know, thank you so much. Like I never would have come here if it hadn't been for you. And 100%. My heart just was like, oh, okay.
Disney did this.
Yeah, like Disney did that, you know?
It's like, but I'm Disney.
It's like something that we bond over. It's so cool. Yeah.
Exactly. Here's especially coming up with the upbringing, especially like people that I guess don't realize like how much Disney impacts so many lives. And I think I go back to, if you go to Disney when you're young and I think that will kind of like inspire you. Doesn't matter. Just go try a lot of new things. I would say like my parents did everything they could to go to SeaWorld, go to the beach, go just take us places. And I think at that point, that's what kind of really inspired me to actually like go, like do it. And I think I think that's the key thing, especially like I can't give. I'm dumb as fuck. Let's clarify that. But no advice here. But like if you do have like kids, dude, take them out. Go let them see more. Like,
show them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I think that's what's gonna inspire them to kind of like want to do more when they're older. Because I feel like that's especially like your upbringing. Like you went and traveled so many places that now you're traveling the world.
Without
at some point, you're gonna be out of this world, going to astronaut land or something.
I am 100% convinced that I am the reason my mom has all of the gray hair that she does.
Well, at some point, we're all gonna have gray hair, so it's okay.
Yeah, but I think it was like premature. Like I think I definitely gave it to her. Like she, it's at 19
Sorry,
years
Mom.
old. Yeah, sorry, Mom. At
If you
19
are
years
listening to this,
old,
which is
I'm like, hey, Mom, I'm gonna leave the country for 6 weeks. See you later. She's like, but do you know anyone?
Dude,
No.
that's just a good mom. Like if they worry about you, man, it's fine.
She's never told me no, but like I
No.
always feel like I have to run things through her first.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, Mom, I'm thinking of buying like a ticket to Thailand like for a month. Like, what do you think? And she's like, sure, I guess, yeah.
Like she goes to your dad, and she's like, "What the? What is wrong with her?"
Yeah, I mean, I love them. Like they definitely raised me to be like a strong, independent, like on my own type person.
Yeah.
So it was not really, I'm more scared when, like, again, people are like, oh, are you scared to travel alone? I'm like, I'm more scared of sitting in my house doing the same thing day in and day out rather than going to another country. Cause like the saying of like, the more you travel, like the smaller the world gets, like is really true. Because I used to be terrified, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be alone in a foreign country. Like, how do I, get the train to where I need to go? Like, I don't have service, so I can't look it up on my phone. Like, I don't know the language. I don't know this. I don't know that. And now it's like, it's second nature. Like, it's just so easy for me, like in Europe, especially, I feel like Europe is like my second home. Like I can just catch a train. I can do whatever I need to, like easy. And it doesn't bother me, and every time you travel, like there's risks of something going wrong or unforeseen like circumstances, but it doesn't really bother me anymore. Like it irritates me maybe, like I get upset, like, my train got canceled and now I got to wait for a new one. But like to freak out, like not really as much, like,
I think you learn more than just the travel side, like patience, all this other stuff that you kind of like you can implement in any kind of like daily living. But yeah, you're not wrong. And for those people that love the routine, I guess to say, like for those people that love staying at home, doing like 9 to 5s, dude, all power to you. Like
100%.
No one's telling you that that's the wrong way of living. We're just saying, like for even people, like I would say, like I would want to put myself in there where I'm just like, I don't want to do 9 to 5 either. Mm-hmm. But it's like it's a very powerful like stance to say, I want to go travel. I want to go do more. I don't want this whole like traditional side that maybe it won't be beneficial in some sort of, and I don't think later on, like you can always change your mind. Like maybe later on, maybe.
Like I'm never going to look back and be like, oh, I regret going to all these countries. No.
Yeah.
And go
ahead. No, you're fine.
No, I'm super thankful that I have a supportive community of friends that either encourage me to go or go with me, or like I have one friend, Michelle, like I can call her whenever,
and she'll be on board with you, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like more so, like she knows what it's like, because she's one of the reasons why I ended up traveling and doing my big like backpacking trip, because we went to the same college.
Okay.
And after she graduated, she went backpacking in Thailand and Southeast Asia for 6 months. Oh. And then from there, she moved to Australia for a year on a work visa.
Yeah, she understands. Like,
so
yes, that's common now. Like that's a common interest. Like people, I guess you surround yourself with more people like that, the more better I guess it gets for both parties, I guess.
Oh yeah. And when you're traveling, like you never meet people who are like questioning you or judging you, or like, like if you bring up like, oh yeah, like this one time I was in Greece on the beach doing this, like they're never going to be like, oh, like good for you.
Good for you.
Yeah. They're going to be like, oh yeah, like I was there too. And like, it's just, it's easier to relate and talk. Oh yeah, for sure. And I have all of my friends, like Maria, she just moved to England for grad school. That's my best friend. Yeah. She literally just got there this morning, or I guess technically yesterday. 5-hour time difference.
Such a great friend, right?
But yeah, I'm like,
Maria, if you're watching this,
we love you too. No, so like it's really sad because I'm like, oh man, my best friend's leaving me. You know, I'm not gonna get to see her all the time
Yeah.
anymore. But then I'm like, my best friend is going to grad school in England because that's what she wanted to
She wanted to do, yeah.
and she made that happen. Like,
Yeah, man, you're not wrong. Like my best friend, love him to death. His name's Andrew, not this one, but
Other Andrew.
Yeah, and this dude, we and him like clicked so well. We were best friends. We met at the DCP, and it's just like so weird how much you like meet when you meet like new people. You meet so many different minds and some people that just it truly inspire you. And it's like nah, he's got to finish school. Like he knows what he wants to do. At some point in our lives, we're gonna see each other again.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
And that's the thing. Like technology is a great thing, and you can always like he catches up with me, I catch up with him, and we just kind of like, hey man, yeah. And it's like normal. Like it's like from even though we're far away, it's like that bond is still there. And that's crazy.
Yeah, like her and I, we met on our DCP.
Yeah, see?
My second one. Yeah.
Shout out to the DCP.
Look at Disney.
I know,
Look at
man.
Disney.
Like the Disney DCP just connects people.
It's
crazy.
magical. Yeah. And I've made other connections through my DCP where like I've hit them up when I'm in their country or their state or whatever, and I go visit them.
The ICP, like like all of that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, all the international kids, like
Yeah.
they come over and you make friends with them and then they go home and then you're like, oh, like, hey, I'm going to be in New Zealand. Like, can I come through? Like, and that's another way that I've saved money when I travel. Like one of my friends, she studied abroad at my school.
Okay.
And then we became friends and she's French and she is the same one I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
She let me like stay at her house for 5 days. And then it was in Lyon, which is like the eastern kind of side of France. And like east of Paris and kind of south.
Yeah.
But we were there. It's like 98 degrees. She lives on the 4th floor, no elevator, no air conditioning. We're sitting in her apartment just like baking. Like I'm dripping sweat, And she was like, hey, my boyfriend's grandma has a house out in the countryside. Like it's going to be cooler out there. Do you want to go? And I was like, okay, sure, why not?
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding you. I pull up to like a mansion, like a straight up like chateau from like the 1700s. Like some of these some of the rooms in this house are completely like unchanged from when they were built.
They were built.
Like it had like
no AC.
No AC, but like you're in the country, so it's cooler. You got that draft coming in. Had like 15 bedrooms or some crazy amount or whatever. And I was just like, holy crap. Like if I hadn't met my friend and like been friends with her at college, then I would have never like came to see her. And that, and it's just technology keeps you in touch with everyone.
100%.
Like you feel like you know what they're doing, even if you haven't talked to them in like a few months or weeks.
FaceTime, Skype, all those things. There's some beneficial things to it, especially like I'm on the side where we should limit technology, but for the good of like not the social media side, right? Technology is still a good thing, and so for that reason, you're right. Like you can connect with so many people, and I think that's the interconnection with that alone. I think you appreciate that, and I met, like, you're right, some people from New Zealand, from Australia, from Brazil, and it's just like, wow, what are they doing? How are they? What's that? And it's just like, and I'm just amazed how much the DCP had
brought that
got
to us.
that to you. Like, hey, there's a mansion I would have never thought I would see, and it's so insane.
It's kind of a running joke in my family, like, oh, you know people everywhere, because like every time we would go somewhere, or like I'd go somewhere, they'd be like, which friend are you with today? Like, because I just hit up people like randomly, like. Stayed with my friend in Japan for 2 weeks. She was living over there teaching English, and you just meet people. And like, speaking of technology, traveling.
We're getting into technology. What?
Well, no, not really, but
I mean, if you want to, we can.
No, just I have like I was trying to like do a little pre-planning. I was thinking of like all the stuff that I wanted to like bring up.
Go ahead.
And like my phone is my best friend when I'm traveling. Like I can do everything on my phone. Like, I don't know, back in the 90s, early 2000s, when this really wasn't like a thing, like I don't know if I could have done it. Like I could have, but like it would have been a lot harder.
You and Mitch had, okay, so Mitch brought up something, right? He's like, dude, I want to go. I was like, I was working with, because he was in Bell Services. And he was like, the old geezers that they were just talking to me. He's like, man, before technology, me and my friends would get in the car, get a bunch of cash, and drive across the country. Yeah. And he's like, I want to do that. I want to see if we can leave our phones. He's like, leave our phones at our house. He's like, just grab a map, get a bunch of cash, get a group of friends that want to go. And I was just like, okay, so you're bringing this side. You're like, my phone is my best friend. I need my phone whenever I go travel.
Well, I mean, like, it's just, I think it's maybe a little bit of a comfort thing because I am alone a lot. Like, especially when, like, maybe if I get to a place and I meet up with someone and we're traveling together, but like.
Okay, so with the group, maybe it would be different.
Yeah, but like a lot of, well, maybe not even, because like a lot of my actual travel, like when you're on the plane, the train, the whatever, is by myself.
Oh, okay.
So like for me, it's nice. Like I have, Google saves my life basically, because like Google Maps, you can download offline maps, and then you don't need internet when you're, because when you're in a foreign country, you don't have internet. So like you can download the map and then look up where you need to go, and it tells you.
It still tells you.
Like it tells you, like in Japan, especially because the train system in Japan is insane.
Yeah.
It will tell you like color coded what line you need to get, where it's going, what stop you need to get off on, where you need to transfer, like everything, and it'll tell you like down to the minute like when this train is supposed to arrive. And so it's so easy to like plug that into my phone and know where I'm gonna go. And so it's just like a source of comfort, like I said. But then also, like to look up like accommodations or like flights or, and boarding passes, because a lot of like cheap airlines will charge you to print your boarding passes, so you have your boarding pass on your phone. Google Translate.
Google Translate is a blessing in disguise.
Yes,
and I think it's just gonna keep. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but I just think it's a great thing, especially travelers for travelers.
Oh yeah.
Man, I feel like you're learning the language, and it just feels like you can. You want to communicate that way. I think that would be a different story, but Google Translate, I think it's perfect for anybody that is
like if you're say you're at the supermarket and you're trying to find something and you can't figure it out, you just type in like fish and it translates like fish to. And he's like, oh yeah, fish, right yeah. Like it's great for that.
Yes.
A lot of conversations have been held over Google Translate, which I think that's a language barrier is probably like something that people are always worried about.
You think that's what stops people from traveling?
I think a lot of people, a lot of things stop a lot of people, but I think being scared, fear is what I think. Fear of whatever it is, the communication, the language, the being alone, the money, the whatever. The fear is what stops them from doing it. But yeah, like the language barrier, I will say this time and time and time again. We are so blessed to have been born in the USA or in an English-speaking country, because English is a universal language now.
Yes.
Like even in countries such as like Thailand and Japan, where like the lettering is not even the same. Like you look at it and you're like, can't even.
I think English is the universal language. I feel like.
Oh, it really is.
Yes.
No, 100%.
And the reason I say that is just because when I was taking French, they were saying we are the second largest language spoken in the world, and I was like,
is it after Chinese?
And no, it was Spanish, and Spanish and then French, but then. I was thinking like, where do we put English at? He's like, well, English is universal now. It's not really
it's not like
It's like it's used everywhere. So it's like that's not like, maybe we could say it's the most commonly used, but it's the universal language that everybody knows.
Well, like in Japan, again, with the signs, it'll have it in Japanese and then in little letters underneath in English.
Okay.
And so a lot of the times it's like they speak. People speak like a little bit of English wherever you go, which is incredibly awesome. Like, I run into this all the time where I meet somebody and I'm like, oh, do you speak English? And they're like, oh, my English isn't good or like whatever it is. And then I'm like, I'll ask them a question and then like full blown English will come out of their mouth. And I'm like, I could never.
It's sweet. Especially being Hispanic, like maybe, I don't know if like a lot of Italians that don't know English, but it's like the ones that do want to learn English and stuff like that, it's that struggle, but like people can comprehend and understand it.
Yeah.
And that I still respect it to the point where I'm like, I was at that point. I didn't know. I didn't know a lick of it. Like I grew up knowing nothing but Spanish, and then that transition, it was just like, it was easy. And then to the point where I knew more English than Spanish, and I was losing Spanish, and I was like, no, like, hold on, I gotta stay on that.
100%. If I ever have kids, they are learning from a young age a different language.
Exactly.
Because that's basically what it is. So when I was in the Netherlands, they speak Dutch, and I was in a bar and people were having conversations around me, and I wasn't even realizing they were doing it in English, even though they're not like
they're not English.
Yeah, like they're not from America
Yeah.
or Australia or whatever.
Or like England, like
Yeah.
like that sort of English.
And when I was in Thailand, like we were with a group of people just kind of from like all over the world, and two of my friends were Dutch, and they were speaking in English even when they would speak to each other.
Yeah,
Like we were
that's
all sitting
crazy.
at a table, but they were doing it. I had asked them about it, and they were like, "Well, we just think it's kind of rude to like speak another language when everyone here can understand us in English, even if we are just talking to each other, because we don't want them to think like we're talking bad or like
That's weird.
It was cool of them, yeah.
Yeah.
But I have a friend who I FaceTime regularly because he's French and he wants to learn English, so we talk a lot.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to like listen to him because I love his French accent, but
See, and there's like so many accents too that like Spanish
Yeah.
alone. There's like so many. There's like a Mexican accent. There's a Puerto Rican accent. There's like
Dominican,
Dominican.
yeah.
They're like, oh,
Even
yeah,
Spain,
so
like,
yeah,
yeah.
It's like the corazón and all the way they say the H's and stuff. It's like, it's cool to me to kind of like know what they're saying, what they're trying to mean, but like there's like certain point, like some words just don't make sense in the Mexican accent world. So
Yeah.
it's like the decipheredness where I was just like, oh, this is fun. I love doing this.
that's like I compare it to like if an American person went and talked to like someone from like the British countryside, and you guys are talking to each other, and you're like, that happened to me from a couple guys from Australia. We were in Switzerland, and they were talking to each other.
Yeah.
And they're kind of from like out in like the bush, so like they're in the countryside. And like they're talking, and I'm like, I know you're speaking English, but I can't understand a word you're saying. Like I was just like, I have no idea what you're saying.
It's like so fast, or like
Yeah.
like they're just
They've got their
plumbering.
slang, and then
Yeah.
they like say their words
Yeah.
weirdly, and I was like, I don't even.
What does this word mean?
Yeah.
Hold on. What? I think
Yeah.
this is what
Can you
they
slow
mean.
that down
Yeah.
for me, or like maybe speak a little, a little differently?
A
but
little differently. That's awesome. Like that's. I just think language is a big thing that one people should. I think wow people whenever you want to learn a different language and stuff like that. But I think it's just an appreciation for people around the world. Like because I know Spanish, I can visit all of the Americas, and because I know somewhat French, I'm like, I don't mind going to France, and I don't mind going to some parts of Africa, just to like try to like figure it out. But that's
or
like
Morocco,
yeah, see?
or like Middle East.
Exactly. So it's insane how that like just because I want to learn a different language, you would want to at least visit half of the hemisphere of the world.
Right.
And it's like I don't know. People would need to do that. I feel like.
I just like I wouldn't let it. I think it's awesome that you're learning so many languages, and I think if you know a language, it makes it easier to learn more languages. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, Latin, I think
it's like
that
so
one's
similar.
there. Yes.
Yeah.
So like I don't know anything. Like if I would pick up German or like I don't know if that stems from maybe, but I'm thinking of like if I were to learn Chinese or
it's completely different.
Yes, that's
It's
a whole different,
a whole new thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas like Latin, so like with my little bit of Spanish root, like knowledge.
No, Italian
so
stems
similar.
from it.
Yeah. And so they were trying to teach me a little bit of Italian when I was there. So like I picked up a few words, and a lot of it like is really similar. Like to say like bagno is like pretty similar and things
Dean
like
Martin,
that.
I'm saying volare.
So that's funny. My host family, they have a daughter that I keep
Yeah.
in contact with, and I was like, oh, Dean Martin's from my hometown.
Shut up.
Fun fact.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah,
But-
Steubenville, Ohio, represent.
Well, I'm sorry, Dean
You-
Martin, but it's,
Anyway, so Dean Martin's from my hometown, but yeah. So I sent her a thing, and I was like, "Oh, do you know Dean Martin?" She's like, "I have no idea who that is." I was like, "You should listen to his music. He sings in Italian."
Yeah.
And she texted me back like 5 minutes later, and she's like, "His accent is horrible." I was like, "Oh."
see, but that's the thing. It's just like I can understand what he's saying. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what, because
Well, if a white person speaks in like Spanish to me, I can understand what they're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, and
but if a
it's-
Spanish person does it, I'm like,
¿sabes qué? No.
No,
It's-
no,
Lo siento. Lo siento.
más despacio.
6 pies.
6 pies. 6 feet, please.
No, that's awesome. No, okay, so keep going with this. Like, I think where I'm getting at right now is that COVID sucks.
Yes.
COVID is horrible.
Yes.
This whole year of 2020 has been like a stagnated year for anybody. I think you're kind of like, and I would say this for anybody that comes onto my podcast. I just think it's like an inspirational viewpoint for people to like see like there is an opportunity to do shit. Like, and for people that love to travel, especially for like being a woman, like they would ask you like, aren't you scared? Like, don't you need anybody? Like, it's like, no, like,
Not really,
it's like, be confident in where you're kind of going. But at the same time, it's like, you're that breath of fresh air that can give somebody like that chance.
Right.
You know? So
I would like to think that I inspire some people.
no,
Like you said, even if it only packs like 1 or 2 people,
That's what I'm
like
saying.
that's, you know, I've had friends text me like, oh, I started a savings account like specifically for travel because of you. Or,
you're like, oh, that's cute.
yeah,
Like, thanks.
yeah, that makes me feel good. Like
yeah.
if you think about me or like I've inspired you to do something, like let me know because that makes me feel great. You know?
Exactly. And no, and that's the reason why I was like, no, you have a cool story that can kind of like
Thank you.
bring up, especially like upbringing for people. Like there's more than just exactly what I saw. Like exactly. And this is why I love like for you to come on the podcast, for you to kind of extend that ideal thing. And I don't know. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? I mean, what's the new plan for
I feel like I'm in an interview for a job.
It says here on your resume that
That's a lie. I actually really am not a huge fan of like the 5, 10, 15 life plan thing.
everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason. I'm kind of just letting it go. You know, like I kind of still have thoughts of living in Australia for a year or moving back to, you know, Europe for a little bit or moving to a different state. Like I still have like all of these thoughts. I'm literally constantly planning like 5 to 10 trips like in my head at all times.
So what do you do? Do you want, it's like, okay, I think I want to go to here. Do you have like a map? And then you're just like, I haven't visited this. Is that how you plan it? Or do you
Kinda.
Really?
So I gather inspiration from other travelers, from social media, Pinterest, like things like that, where, you know, I've seen somebody post the Bucket List family. I don't know if you follow them.
Yeah.
Great.
What's his name? Some Adam G or some
Garrett G?
Garrett G.
Yeah. I met them. They came to Disney.
Yeah.
And I met them. Yes.
They're really
they're
cool.
awesome. They have
Man.
3 kids and they
Exactly.
travel full time.
Yeah.
Like anyone can travel.
Man, I'm thinking about like how are those kids gonna like grow up?
They're
Like,
going to be insane.
I
They're
know.
just going to be the smartest kids in the room at all
what is-
times.
I know. And
There's-
I was just like, man, all these dumb people don't even know what the heck. Like this, he created Snapchat, I think, right?
The QR code.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know, when you scan
when you
things,
scan it.
he created that.
Damn, man.
But what I like about them is that like he made this QR code, whatever, and he sold it to Snapchat and he
Yeah.
made a lot of money off of it. But what he did is he took all that money and he stuck it aside and he put it into like a, you know, savings account or whatever for his kids and for his family in the future.
100%.
So when they decided they wanted to do full-time travel, they sold all of their belongings, everything. And then they just started doing like, they took what they made from their savings and they started traveling that way. And then like, they just started posting, writing blogs, like reaching out to people for partnerships. And like, as they started to grow, that's where they got like their free stays, their money, you know, like their paid partnerships,
like
all of
sponsorships
that.
and stuff like that.
So
came later on.
like, yes, technically like they did have money, but they didn't use it to get started. And they have like 2 million followers on social media.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And they do all these paid partnerships. They do all these like trips and everything. And it's a huge inspiration to me, but I see them go places. Kara and Nate, counting countries, even just like some smaller, like niche Instagram profiles like I follow, and they're like, oh, I went to this place, and like they're constantly posting. Like my entire Instagram feed is like pictures of like travel,
Where
like
you go.
yeah,
Everything.
like where other people are at currently. It makes me jealous, and I'm like, oh, I need to go there, you know. And so I kind of like draw inspiration from that, and if I see somewhere that I really want to go, you know, I to me though, like if someone came up to me and they're like, you want to go to like such and such country, and it wasn't on my list, I'll be like, yeah.
Sure.
100%. I don't
No.
like, I'm not going to say no to like a trip, you know, like
Yeah.
I'm to like a new place, you know? So that's kind of how like I draw my inspiration. And then from there, what I do is I start planning. So I get on Google Flights, and Google Flights
That's
is
the first
amazing.
thing. I think it's just the flight.
The flights are killer. You always have to look at flights, food, and accommodation because those are going to be your 3 biggest spendings.
Yeah.
So flights, like you get on Google Flights, and what's cool about Google Flights is you can type in where you want to go, and then you can leave the dates open. So then it'll tell you like through the month or even in like the year, when's the cheapest time to fly somewhere.
Okay.
So instead of paying $800 to get to England, you could pay $300 in November, and it'd be like so much cheaper.
So much cheaper.
And then from there, like once I get my flight booked and make sure, you know, I always do like a quick search of like, you know, is this a safe place to go? like, is their government stable right now, or like things like that. Like, obviously there's some places in the world right now you probably don't want to visit that are, you know, Hong Kong was going through a lot of stuff just recently with their government and protests and things like that. And so you just kind of want to like be cautious of it, especially if you are scared, like just kind of, you know, become knowledgeable, like research it. Yeah. And so I'll do that and just make sure, you know, I feel comfortable. It's a safe place that I feel like I could go. And then I'll start getting on Pinterest and looking at like different things I want to do, because Pinterest always has like 5 places to go when you visit Kyoto.
People put blogs up there too.
Like, I put my blogs on there. Yeah. For sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I feel like it's the glamour part of it that like it gravitates to
the showcase
people.
part of it. Yeah.
It's the
I did all this work for air quotes for anyone not watching. Air quotes. I do all this work for these cool pictures. Yeah. But yeah, so then Pinterest, I start looking it up. Hostel World is an amazing app. It's kind of like, it's literally like Airbnb.
Okay.
But for hostels. And you can pull up a map and it'll show you like ratings, how much it is a night, reviews, pictures, everything. And you just go through and, you know, some people like, you're like, oh, hostels, like that's gross, like whatever. I have stayed in some incredible hostels. Like they have been insanely clean, like cheap, you know, everything that you're looking for. And you just go through and you read the reviews, like just make sure that it doesn't look like it's
shady as fuck. Just kind of like do your due diligence. Anybody that's kind of like going into that stuff. And I mean, do you think this is for everybody?
No. I think travel is for anybody. If you want to go, even if like you just want to go for like a week and go somewhere new, or you know, it's because I was saying, you know, you go to Myrtle Beach every year.
You go for long periods of time.
Yes. I usually, the farther it is, the longer I like to go. So like if it's in Australia, I would like rather go for a couple months than just a week, you know.
Okay.
So when I was in Thailand, I flew for 3.5 weeks instead of just a week, because it's a long flight, you know.
Right.
But Europe like is so easily accessible now. It's only a 6-hour flight to you know, most places. So that I could go for 2 weeks there and that'd be fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, like even if you don't want to do a full-time backpacking, living, you know, out of literally just your backpack on your back, like traveling. If you want to go somewhere and you have like an inkling of like, oh man, like this place looks really cool, I want to check it out, don't limit yourself and be like, oh, I can never go there. Like start planning it, like see what it would look like. You know, I've like I said, I've already come up with like 20 plans of like all these different things that I could do, and I'm constantly like looking at Google Flights and how I can make this happen and everything.
Yeah.
But like, even if you just want to go for a week, or you just go for a weekend, or explore something that you would never normally done, like that to me is like when you say, oh, is this for everyone? No, backpacking is not for everyone, but traveling is for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, backpacking is a whole I was talking to Mitchell about that, but we were talking about like some stories about backpacking up in the mountains and stuff.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't do that.
No, yeah. That's not for everybody. Glamping, you can definitely do that.
Oh, I'll glamp. I'll glamp all day long.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but what I meant was like, I think I'm disagreeing with you here, because I'm a firm believer, especially just the way I think we're very nomadic people. Like humans are very nomadic, and so I think staying put is I think
it's hard.
It's hard, and I'm trying to think of like maybe you need a home, or what is home,
like a
sort
home base,
yeah, and then like from there, once you have that home base, go.
Yeah,
and what I'm trying to say is that like there's a reason why I like different views, especially like when I think of work, when I was thinking like of merchandise, and just like I can work at all these different places. Whoa, heck yeah. It's just a new environment every day.
Yeah.
And it was never like a constant routine thing. And then because of that, I'm thinking, I'm like, is this for everybody? Like, I feel like everybody, or does some people,
does everyone feel like
this,
or is it just me?
Yeah. It's like, do people just like routine also?
Well, I mean, personally, I believe, I know people don't agree with me, but like
we're all about disagreements.
It's a social construct of, you need to do well in high school, to do well in college, to get a good scholarship, to do well in college, to get the good internship, to get the good job.
Okay.
And, to get the good job afterwards, to get a mortgage and get, you acquire all this stuff and make payments on it. That stuff that you really don't need. and this kind of comes into minimalism. Have you heard of?
I was going to get into that here in a little bit, but this is why I was like, I brought up, is this for everybody? Because tiny house living has got my attention so much. And I think we're living right now in this age, and maybe it's a social construct, and I think it might be it, just because of like traditionally
The American dream.
yes, and all that stuff, where it came from. And I'm just thinking this is why a lot of people are in debt. They just don't know how to like manage their monies, just because we're spending on stupid shit. And I'm just like, well, okay, so at a certain point, how do I limit that, or should I limit that, or get rid of everything and just focus on the experience, I guess. So this is why I'm asking, like, do you think it's for everybody? And like,
but the reason that I'm kind of disagreeing on that is because I've met people and I've talked to people and I have this conversation regularly where like
I'm just glad it's on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, but like I've talked to these people where, you know, like my brother, for example, is an extreme introvert. He is totally fine with sitting in his room for 12 hours a day and playing video games. That's what he loves to do.
Okay.
And
is that what an introvert is? They just love to stay. I feel like there's some introverts that love to still go out. Just don't socialize.
He has like two friends and he'll see them like once a week or
so
whatever it is.
He feels like he's a homebody.
He's fine with being home alone and being alone. Like he's, you know, he just doesn't really do a lot like with other people. Even his girlfriend's like, oh, you know, we should go to the beach this weekend. He's like, you can go, but I'm going to just sit in my room. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, Nick, whatever. Anyway, but like, you know, him and some friends from back home or like indie people, like, I don't know if it's just maybe they haven't been exposed to things so they don't know it, or maybe that's just like what they truly genuinely like and they want. And for, you know, him, like, that's what he likes to do. Like I don't think I would ever get him on a trip to like another country with me. I can't picture him like doing that, you know? And so like for him, like he likes to, you know, just go to work or sit and come home and sit in his room or whatever it is. Like that's just what makes him happy. Like he doesn't have a desire to really go do those things, I don't think. Huh. Unless you'd like to prove me wrong, Nick. Text me after the show.
Like he sounds like a lot of people. I know. I'm not. And like, I'm trying to think, maybe give him the benefit of the doubt, just because I feel like maybe the more they explore, maybe the more they feel.
But even before I explored, I felt the need to go.
Yeah, but see, maybe when they explore, there's a sense of discomfort. Do we feel that whenever we like to explore?
Yeah, I like being in new places. I thrive in that.
Right, but do you feel that discomfortness that comes with that?
A little bit. Yeah, I would say. Yeah, like there's always a level of discomfort. But you know,
it's probably big for them, like the discomfortness for them. So this is what I'm saying.
100%. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and from there, I'm trying to think like maybe they just don't like that discomfort. Maybe they just like knowing what they know. You know.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this is why I'm saying like the accumulation, and it makes me go back to like minimalism and stuff. It's like accumulation of stuff. I think. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, especially like.
Personally, for me, no, I don't like it.
You don't own a lot of stuff, then. I feel like you live out of your car.
Kind of yes and no. Once I decided to do my backpacking trip, I did start like kind of getting rid of stuff, selling, donating, whatever. And then once I traveled, I was like, I lived for X amount of months with just the stuff on my back. I don't need all this other stuff. You know what I mean? So when I came home, my family, we have like a 4-bedroom house and it's pretty big. And like, you know, all of my stuff from like, I know it's raining. Yeah. All my stuff from like my childhood and all, you know, all this stuff is just in there from like years and years and years of accumulating. And so I was like, Mom, I'm bored. I don't really have too much going on. Like I was working part-time, just like online. And I was like, I'm going to clean the house. So I went through like the entire basement and just like donated like boxes and boxes and boxes and like, you know, went through all the rooms in our house and just it was so freeing.
Yeah,
like a giant weight. It wasn't even all my stuff, but I was just like, go.
I feel like that should say something. Like I feel like the more shit you have,
I feel like the more you're weighed down by it. Yeah. And so that's for me, like it's all about my priorities. I prioritize travel, so I don't want to spend money or lock myself into something that has a big payment.
Okay.
But if your fun is, you know, buying a motorhome or a side-by-side or whatever it is that has a payment on it and you enjoy using that like on the weekends and stuff, go ahead, do it. Like that's what you want to spend it on. But for me personally, because I don't want to be weighed down with all of these different payments every month so that I can put all of my money into travel, I don't prioritize that, so I don't buy a lot of things. I don't try to, I'm a very window shopper, like big window shopper. Like I'm like, that looks so cute,
So cool.
but I don't need it. And that I think we get
You come
caught
back
up.
and then you're just like, I want it.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. But I think we get caught up in instant gratification and the high that like purchasing stuff makes you feel.
Instant gratification.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'm definitely, I've fallen victim to that time and time again.
I mean, we all do. I do it. No one's perfect. That's what I'm saying. Like, but I think instant gratification, what do you see it? Is it a pro or a con?
I think both.
One outweighs the other, or do you feel like it's like, because now you're putting it in other aspects, because you're probably like instant gratification in technology, instant gratification in
right. I'm kind of like in my mind, I'm like boxing it out right now. Like instant gratification of like, I was just reading a book yesterday, and it was saying like, it only took 9 weeks for this letter to reach me. And I was like, 9 weeks? I can send a text message in 2 seconds. And I think those types of like instant gratification and like things like that I enjoy. But like I think it kind of has like taken away some of our patience and our ability to like wait and like things like that. So
like we want it now.
Yeah,
like, give it to me now.
Yeah, and I think with shopping, like you see something and you're like, I want it, and then you don't really think about like, well, how many times am I going to use this? Is this really going to be, if it's not useful to you, then like, do you really need it? Like there's so many things that just sit and you just stare at it day after day and you're like, do I really need that?
Like,
but you've bought it and then you're like, I spent money on it, so now I have to keep it, know? And then all of a sudden you just got a house full of stuff that you don't use So I try to be like very conscious of that. I listened to somebody and I wish I knew the name off the top of my head. It's a minimalist podcast and they wrote a book.
Is it the ones that created the show on Netflix? They have like a minimalist.
Wait, is it the two guys?
Yeah,
like Ryan Nicodemus or something like that.
Something like that. But
I feel bad.
No, I don't feel bad. If they
ever watch this, I'm so sorry that I forgot your podcast name.
Hey man, I never heard your podcast,
but I was listening to them.
Do you ever want to come on?
It's very inspiring. They're very inspiring people.
I think there's a sense of inspiration with stuff like that. Like it doesn't matter what it is, but I feel like people now more than ever need some help in that aspect.
Yeah.
And so that part of life, I just think like that could really benefit the financials, and then they could really benefit
because people spend money they don't have.
And that's why it brings me to debt and all that shit. That I'm like, fuck, we fallen victim to that all the time. But it's like well, because again, this
society construct of you need stuff to be successful. Oh, if you have a big house, if you have a fancy car, if you have this, you're considered successful in society's eyes.
Yeah.
And that's not always necessarily true.
Exactly.
Like my experiences make me successful.
Yeah. And that's why like I feel like a lot of people now, and totally generalizing here, but I feel like it just like the idea of like how much debt we're in and all this other stuff, that we're in this crisis like of instant gratification, that I feel like that stems deeply into like your mind, because now we look for instant gratification in everything.
Right.
Everything. Relationships, like social media. We just want to be reassured. It's like dopamine effect.
That hit, yeah.
Yeah. It's just like once it hits you, it's like fuck.
It's a generation thing. I think.
You think?
I think we are definitely shifting because, our parents were raised in like a time of, that whole thing I was just laying out earlier.
Yeah.
And now it's definitely, I feel a lot more comfortable and confident talking to people my age about this stuff, because I think they understand it a lot more.
What are 95, 96, 94?
I was born in 93.
93? Still. Okay. So I don't know where the
Thank
cusp.
You for that.
I don't know the cusp.
I'm a millennial.
Exactly. I don't know the cusp of that shit. But I just know, like, I didn't grow up with a lot of technology either. But I was 96 baby.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. There's people born in the 2000s that are 18 already.
Yeah.
And I tell this to everybody that's on the podcast, because I like talking to people our age, because I feel like we're like the last of a like
very weird generation.
Yeah, that we knew before all this instant gratification.
But we also now know like the other side of it too.
Yes.
Yeah, because like kids 2018, like who graduated in 2018, they probably had phones at like fifth grade or like fourth grade. Yeah.
I didn't have one until I was
iPads when they were.
Yeah. When was your first phone?
Like my first smartphone? my first flip phone.
Oh, it doesn't.
I had a Razor.
The Razor is back.
I had a Razor in middle school, and then I had the sliding keyboard one.
Oh, dude, man, you look so cool when you just type away.
And then I had maybe freshman or sophomore year, I had like a Droid, and it kept breaking, and I was like, I want an iPhone.
The beginning of Droid were shit.
They were terrible.
They were very terrible.
They were like paperweights.
Yeah, and I think it's weird because the Razor, I had it. It was a hand-me-down Razor that I had from my brother, and it was like indestructible. It was very indestructible. I love that phone. It's just like there was something satisfying about like
flipping it
open. It's like
but that T9 texting though.
Oh,
that was trash.
Do people still know about T9? Like, if you ask this 18, 19-year-olds
what that was, they'd be like, what?
Like,
I don't think so.
So what's ABCD on one? Okay. Whoa. And see, it just makes me think.
Pressing it 7 times.
Exactly. Like, there's kids now that are, like, I guess the technology, like the iPads and all that stuff, like, they're using it in schools, preschools, and all that stuff. And could it be seen as a pro or a con? Or is there like an
I think that's a very controversial topic.
We're all about controversial.
I don't really know. Like I think maybe I think it's both. And it's one of those things like you're never really gonna know until we're 50 years down the line and you've seen like I keep doing that. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. This is like 50 years down the line and then like all of a sudden now you're like, oh crap, like this is what happened. But I don't know, like for me, like I said, my phone, when I'm traveling, like my phone's my best friend.
Yeah.
And so I have like I wrote a list out, so I would like to read it to you, of the things that I use when I'm traveling. And this is
technology-wise or like on your phone?
On my phone, like apps and websites I've used on my phone that like are my entire lifeline.
Take notes, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. So I have Hostel World, Airbnb, Google Maps, Google Translate, XE Currency Exchange, Pinterest, and Google Flights. And like I can literally be in, a city in Italy and I'm like, my friends are like, hey, you want to go to like the Netherlands for the weekend? Okay, cool. And then all of a sudden I've like everything booked on my phone. And so like for me, like, yeah, like technology is great because I just did all of that. I didn't even have to worry about it, but then like kids these days, I don't know. I don't plan on having kids, so I really don't put much thought into what they're gonna do.
Oh man. I'm just like looking at it from that point where I'm just like, I have a niece and nephew, and I'm just like, I love them, but they're so ingrained in the technology.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm like, what was I doing when I was that age, And
then riding bicycles and
getting hurt, had scabs all over my knee,
playing with the neighbors till the sun went down.
Exactly,
all that good stuff. Yeah,
exactly. I'm just thinking like, whoa, like. This technology age will that hinder people wanting to go travel? Maybe they just don't want to stay home. Maybe they just want to be isolated. They just want to play in the video game. This is what I'm saying. Like,
well, this was kind of something that was really frustrating to me during lockdown. Was a lot of like travel companies and stuff like that. And I understand where they were coming from with it.
Yeah.
But they started doing like virtual tours. And like
virtual tours.
Yeah. So they started doing like virtual like. I don't know, like it would be like, join us at 8 p.m. and we're going to do a virtual tour of this certain city in Colombia or like something like that. And I was just like, I don't care to watch a video of somebody walking around in Colombia. I want to be in Colombia. So like, I understood what they were trying to do because like people have stopped traveling. So their content's kind of running out and they're looking for like,
they're adapting. They're trying to adapt to it.
But for me, I was like, I don't want to watch that. I have no desire because it's just making me miss Colombia or miss traveling and wanting to go these things. Yeah. So
you never like, I guess, are you a fan of virtual reality, like the VR thing where they can actually like, whoa.
I think I've only done it like twice. It was okay.
Yeah. I don't know what you've done though. That's like,
so what I did was at the Harry Potter weekend events that they used to do.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. That one.
They had the Fantastic Beasts. Yeah, I did that one. But like the whole time it was like shaky and like, I felt like you had to like, it wasn't real. Like you put virtual reality on, I'm expecting like I can literally like, in time go and like grab your hand or whatever. But it was like shaky and like you would do something, but it wouldn't really like land where you like had aimed it for. And it just was like, it was weird.
It was weird.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like, I feel like if that keeps becoming like professionalized.
You think people would like rather do
that than go into like actual, have you ever seen Ready Player One?
I haven't, but I've heard of it.
Yeah. Where they just like, reality sucks. If you really want to go somewhere, just put this on.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I personally know.
well,
As a person
I know,
with like
I'm just saying.
huge escapism needs, like I'm constantly reading or watching movies or whatever. I don't think so. For me personally.
Yeah, we stem to like, I think we go to escapism. I just think our escapism will be different,
Right.
like than for these future generations to come. I'm just that at that point, I'm like, I'm on the side of traveling, so like I think you should go.
But what I'm hoping is that as the world becomes even more global than what it is now, and even something that I'm a little scared of is flight prices rising again.
Oh yeah.
Because it was getting to the point where like I was finding really good deals on flights, and things were becoming cheaper. Like even from the first trip that I took in 2013, my flight was like $1,200.
Yeah.
And now I can get that same flight for like less than $300 or $400. Yeah. And so I'm scared that like, when travel starts back up, because airlines have taken these huge hits, that they're going to raise their prices again.
I mean, we see it with Disney right now. Like they're starting to raise their prices up just because
they're trying to even it out. Yeah. Like to stay at Pop Century and stuff like that. It's like insanely expensive.
Yeah. I just saw an article this morning actually, it was this morning that said something like Disney's about to raise up their prices. But I think it's just because the whole guest, I think the capacity of guests is probably going to go up. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm like, oh, they're going to bank on that. They're going to try to do anything.
Well, because they lost a lot of money.
Fuck yeah.
But what I'm hoping with, like, maybe if you're saying, virtual realities, making it easier for people to go places or whatever. But I'm hoping that, like, as we go forward, if those things become more accessible, or the country, like the world just becomes, smaller in a sense, that
we'll just go to outer space.
Flights like Xenon.
Oh my God.
I was Xenon and Nebula last year for Halloween, so I'm kind of obsessed. But like that it's cheaper, so people will want to travel, or will have the funds to travel. So that's kind of where I would like to think that that's going.
Did you see that they're doing like flying cars? Like I think like Japan, or I think China. I don't remember, but they
like hovering or like flying.
Like hovering.
Like, they just like hover off the ground.
Well, no. Well, I guess they've kind of like made it go. Like it looks more.
Well, like I'm talking like flying, like you have your own little pod and you just like zoom straight up and then you take off like into the sky.
Yeah.
Or is it like a hovering car where it's just like it hovers off the ground 3 feet the whole time you're driving somewhere?
No, it's gotten higher. It's gotten higher, and it's not like a hover
like the Jetsons.
Thing. Yeah, I don't know.
No.
I saw a picture, and it had like the propellers and shit. And I was just like,
yeah.
So I'm thinking short-term travel. I think maybe that's like
that'd be so cool.
That would be cool.
People always ask me like what superpower I would want, or like if someone does ask me that. I mean, it's not really
what
like
kind of superpower do you want?
I would want to. I guess if you're doing Harry Potter, apparate. But if you're not doing Harry Potter, like jump. What's that called? Yeah. What's it called?
Teleport?
Teleport. There we go. Oh my gosh. See, I was like in that like Harry Potter mind. So I was like, apparate. Yeah. Teleport, because I could live in London and come home and have dinner with my family in Ohio and then go back to London. You know what I mean? Like, that's what that would be my superpower.
100%. No, I mean, for the most part, I'm just trying to hit every angle that I can about traveling, especially like I'm trying to say like it's good to have some steady bases, like a home base, I guess.
Right.
And it's good to maybe go out every like week or so, even just to go outside, just do something, just
take a little mini vacation, staycation.
Yeah, a little staycation, whatever, glamping, do whatever you want. But I just think like, especially with this age right now, with like the social pandemic and like how much that is going to hinder a lot of people to do stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't like to live my life in fear. And I mean, I know it's huge and it's big for a lot of people, but for me personally, as soon as borders start opening and things start, becoming more available, I plan on traveling again as soon as possible. I don't think it's going to stop me. Cause like my thought process is if I catch COVID in America, I'm going to be pissed. But if I catch COVID in England, I might be pissed, but like maybe a little less. Like, I don't know. Like don't get me wrong. This is a very serious, like, thing. Like COVID is serious and people are dying and whatever, but like I don't want to let fear like stop me from doing the things that I love.
Things you do.
Yeah.
Wow. Man,
And so
No,
I go out and I wear my mask.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I
It's
wash
like,
my
I mean,
hands
we
frequently.
do the, I guess the things required that we need to do.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It's admirable. I think a lot of people need to do that, just because it's like, you don't want to spread it.
I
If
don't
you
want to be
do,
responsible
yeah.
for spreading it to anybody, but
Yeah.
I'm saying like if it was just based on just me, like my personal risk, I
Right.
would go.
Yeah.
But the fact that like, lockdown was more for people who like were more susceptible or, things like that. Like I 100% I agree with that. But like, for me, travel is so ingrained in me. And like I said, like it's been 9 months since I've traveled.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the last time I left the country was in November. So it's been about, it's been like 10.
It's almost going to be a year.
I know. Stop it.
I'm just saying.
The only new place I've been in that whole entire year was New Orleans. So
Nolans?
yeah,
I fucking love Nolans.
Found like a $70 like round flight or something like that. And
my roommate's from Louisiana, so she's like over there right now. But
oh, cool.
yeah, I don't know. New Orleans is a whole different beast, but I just love
it's
jazz
so pretty
and
though.
everything.
Yeah,
100%.
I enjoyed it.
Freaking and yeah, what do you think is like? How much longer do you think this is gonna keep going?
Honestly, I don't know, because I know like I keep getting different posts and stuff on my feed about like, oh, this country is opening its borders or whatever, and
Right.
a lot of them are starting out with, oh, you need to. I keep touching my mic. I'm so sorry.
No, that's good.
A lot of people are starting out with like, if you come here, you need to quarantine for 2 weeks. Okay, well, if you're maybe coming for a long period of time, that's doable. If not, like, people who work and have jobs and stuff like that, it's not going to be quite as doable.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that like, by the beginning of next year, they're going to start like opening things to the public more. But it's really hard to tell. But there's a lot of like, I know Thailand, I think maybe Turkey, some of the places like in the Caribbean, they're opening up their countries for people to do a remote work, so that you can get a visa.
Okay.
So you can pay to get a visa to live in that country for a year, because so many companies are like, oh, right now we're going to do work from home. So instead of sitting in your apartment, work from home, you could go to Barbados or I don't remember the country specifically, and you could do that.
Do you think it's going to change? Like from the workforce, like everything's going to go more remotely?
Oh, I hope so.
Really?
Yes. As a person who wants to work strictly remotely and be able to do it from anywhere in the world, I 100% would love to see more things being put.
Yeah.
And that's another big thing. Like, America, we're so driven. We're focused on like work, and being productive means that you're working, and it's cool to brag about the fact that you worked 70 hours this week.
Yeah,
and
just worked
like I slept like 3 hours.
3 hours.
And I don't think that that's necessarily like actual signs of like being productive or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would rather work from home and be able to travel and go do things. And a lot of the stuff that we're doing now, there's another positive of technology. Like a lot of the things that we are doing can be work from home. We don't need to be in an office. And a lot of countries in the world, like in Europe, like they only have a 35-hour work week or a 32-hour work week. And then
that's crazy.
Yeah. And then they have like, paid time off, like way more paid time off than we do. Or like a lot of Europe shuts down for the month of August because they're just like, we're going to go on holiday. We'll be back. Like things like that. And I'm like, why doesn't the U.S. do that? Come on.
Do you think it's because it's bigger? We have a lot more people. Is it like people
No, I think it's 100% the American dream thing that we were, fed from a young age.
Yeah,
like,
you were fed that forcefully. You're just like
from our
grandparents. You hate that mic. You hate that
I'm
mic.
gonna fight this mic. Oh my god.
You're just like
it's in my arm reach. That's why. There we go. Okay. So yeah, like our grandparents' generation, our parents' generation, like all of them, we were fed from a young age that we needed to work and do this American dream thing. And so I'm like, I do kind of struggle with like, well, does that make me lazy that I don't want to work 70 hours a week? No, it just means that I have different priorities than like.
Yeah, the way that parents see you, they probably like.
You're lazy.
You're lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, oh no, I just want to. There's more to life than this job at this company that doesn't really care about me, that will replace me in a week, and I would rather just go live life on my terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some parents that they're like, no, like you need to do the same thing. You need to be a lawyer. You could be a doctor. They would forcefully put those things on children, and it's like I definitely think we need that. Like I mean, not like there's some people that thrive off of that stuff, and then there's some people that don't. And I feel like kind of like listening to your children, I think would be a big key thing to do. It's just like, are they like I don't know at what point should you start forcing like ideas on them, especially like
oh yeah.
on
I mean,
that
I think
front.
the best that you can do is just like tell them what your beliefs and what your stuff is,
Mhm.
and then let them make that decision for themselves.
Yeah, I know you don't want kids or anything. I'm just saying. Have you ever heard of like Montessori schools?
Mm.
It's like I think they're a great idea, especially like I just think like future generation wise. But it's like you have like a lot of things in your surrounding areas, and you let the kids go to what they think they would love.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
That's a cool idea.
Yeah. So like, let's say like there's like building blocks over there, or something like that. They're just more enamored into that idea. I think you can find out a lot from things like that, especially like doing that at a young age. See what they're interested in. Maybe they're good at something. Maybe they like drawing. Maybe they just want to sit down and just draw or something like that. You can find out a lot from Montessori schools. I think it's a good plus, but I don't think it's not well known. I think people are just trying
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's
I think going back to the bucket list family, I think that's cool that they take their kids so many places because their kids have gotten to experience just completely different cultures.
Yes.
Yeah, and they get to see so much stuff, and they get to figure out early like what they like or what they want, and yeah, I really think they're pretty big on like my like idol list for sure. I follow them a lot, and I was pretty obsessed with them for a while.
I found out about them this year. Like this year is when I found. No, man, I'm just like looking at this guy. Like this guy's like living it up with his family, and I'm just like, one day, it's just gonna be there.
This is gonna be me.
I'm like, hell yeah, I want to go travel, take my kids going like all these places, and I just know like I'm grateful for everything like my parents have done, but I just know there's more out there. Like exactly like they thought the 9 to 5 was the way to go, and we're like, no, I don't think so. I think
Not
there's
so
more.
much.
Yeah, and there's a lot to learn from that. I'm not saying like that's a bad thing. I just think like there are some creative people out there that want to do that.
Different,
yeah. And so why hinder that? Why keep that hidden?
Well, right now, I think that's my biggest thing is trying to bridge that gap between like you do have to make money to live and survive.
Yeah.
And there's certain things in the world you need, but like, how do I do that while traveling? And how do I marry those two things together to make like the life that I want? Yeah.
Oh, man, I want to see a positive outcome in like I guess the rest of 2020 going into 2021, but it's so hard. I can't grasp like a good understanding in this aspect of travel of life. Like I'm just trying to figure out like can we go places?
Are we still gonna be able to? I think it's gonna be a long time before we can get back to but like get back to like traveling as much as we were in the past, but like I don't know if we're ever going to go back to normal. I mean, there's always going to be pre-COVID and post-COVID, you know what I mean? Like this is a history book type of situation. Yeah, like this is,
and I don't even know if it's over. That's the only reason I'm saying it. Like
like I genuinely like back when this started in March, I was like, oh yeah, a couple weeks, we'll lock down, this will be over. LOL. A joke was on me. Oh, I'm so mad.
Oh man, yeah, I could tell. You're just like, golly, man. Oh well, I mean,
I didn't do very well with being locked down.
The first 3 months.
Yeah, well, thankfully I was still able to work, so I was going out every day and working, thankfully. But it was a lot, so I did not enjoy lockdown.
Bet. Man,
I still don't enjoy lockdown.
No, and I mean, is this considered lockdown? Really? Like,
social.
Well, we
distancing.
were shut down and locked down, but then social distancing and all that stuff.
Like, it's still very frowned upon for us to go out right now. Yeah.
I think it's gonna change everybody's social behavior, especially like.
Yeah.
I
go out and I find myself being like, please don't touch me. Like,
what's going on?
Yeah.
Get away from me.
Like, I feel weird about it, but
yeah.
I think it's just a risk you take. And like I said, I have to work, so I have to go to work, and be in the public anyway. So
yeah,
I'm just trying to do my part.
Yeah. Well, I hit a lot of great parts to what I wanted to know. Any more parts that you feel like you're missing out on right here? Because we're about to end it right here.
Yeah. Just travel. If you have any questions about it or concerns or whatever it is, message me. I love talking about it. I love answering questions. I feel so awesome when, people have told me that they've done things because of me, or, like I wrote a blog and someone was like, oh my gosh, I did everything you said in the blog and it was so much fun. And like that stuff just is amazing. And if you have any questions, like I said, I'll be your cheerleader. I'll stand here and I'll help you. I'll look up hostels for you, or I'll look up, hotels, or we can, you can make it work for the way that you want it to work, like
it's like live the life that you ideally want.
Yeah, exactly. So just kind of follow that. And so Kasey Meets World, Kasey meets World, like Boy Meets World. No copyright intended. Meets World. But it just, like follow me, message me. Like I just love to talk about it. So yeah, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I love talking about travel. I mean, my roommate, he's the more big travel guy. He's the one that inspired me to go to like backpacking. Let's go do all these things. And I was just like, having people like that in your life will definitely like, I think is a help. It's a definitely like right now he's in Colorado. So like he's just like living it up right now, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, there's some good that comes with people that love to do stuff like that. So that's why I'm like, thanks for coming on. Like I will put the links to all of her stuff. You said you had a blog also, right?
I do. I haven't wrote in a few months just because I've been locked down. I felt like my creativity has kind of been a little hindered recently, so I just haven't been writing.
You're telling me like this is my creativity outlet, and it's been hard just to kind of like get people to like get positive about the shit. But it's like fuck. Like I guess you can talk about like some of the outcomes that came from post COVID. I don't know. I'm just trying to give ideas, but
well, mainly like my blogs are just kind of like what I did in this city, what 5 things you can do in this place. And that's what I just like to share those. And it's a little bit more of almost like a journal than anything else.
You never had a vlog either?
Sorry?
You never had a vlog?
No. So I didn't want to vlog because I was like, oh man, I don't really like my voice, and like being on camera is like weird to me.
Is this different too? Like
this is so different. But I did fall into the TikTok hole.
Oh no! I'm just kidding. I'm in the TikTok hole too.
But I
love TikTok, man. I hate that it's got so much of my attention. But you can literally find and do anything.
You can
on
learn
TikTok.
so much on there. It's
so
insane.
Much. It's like me and Mitch were talking about conspiracies and like how.
Mitch.
I mean, we were going at it and we were just like, whoa, like enamored this and whoa, this and this, and we were just like. But TikTok, it became more than just that.
Like, 100%.
Like it's like a way to learn, a way to like entertain. It's like I don't even know if it's like a new YouTube or if it's just like. But TikTok is here to stay.
I truly hope so, because I found it kind of a little bit before I started. Like I think maybe Japan, I was like using it a little bit. But now I have so many ideas of videos and stuff that I want to do. And that's going to kind of be like my vlogging would be Your like vlogging. TikTok.
Yeah.
So
I feel like there's more to you than meets the eye. So I don't know. You're probably having some hidden like entertainment shit that you're like, you could do with vlogging.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I would love to do more like behind the scenes or like what a day in the life of like a traveler, things like that, where like in Instagram, you just get that little picture of who I am or what I do. Or
Instagram is about the aesthetic, I guess. I the way I say it. But
I love doing that. But like my TikTok, so but I made it super easy to link all of my things. So it's like Kasey Meets World is on every single one of them. Like if you Google that, like all of my stuff will come up. Yep, even Facebook. So yeah,
even Facebook.
Yeah, I have a Facebook page. My Facebook got hacked, so I had to restart it. So a little kind of behind on that, but it's still Kasey Meets World. So.
I'm just saying, like Facebook, I feel like for like, I mean.
The older generation. Well, I do have a few fans.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think a lot of people love Facebook. There's still a lot of people on Facebook, so it's like,
why not utilize every social media that you can, right? Pinterest, Twitter, I'm on it all. Yeah,
like TikTok. I'm thinking about TikTok right now for pre-COVID. Like it was getting up there, but then right when COVID hit, and then boom, there was it took off, and it was like this explosion that everybody wanted, and I was like. I'm going to jump on this train.
And I mean, I have almost 7,000 followers on TikTok.
Shut up.
And I have only like 1,300 on Instagram, and I've been on Instagram for like 9 years, and I have been on Instagram for less than a year, or like almost a year.
It's that instant gratification thing, you know.
I know, but you get to reach so many more people that way.
100%.
So, like,
I think people don't care. Like I put my drumming videos on TikTok, and I'm just like, these are great. I love it because I don't like. I'm not saying that there's not a lot of backlash, but a lot more people watch it that aren't following me.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
You get exposed to so many more people. Yeah.
So at that point, I think that's a plus for anybody that's trying to like do something like this. Do like, you know, you're an entertainer. It's a way to just adapt what you're doing into TikTok.
Right.
So that's 100% like. Man, I'm just saying, like, limit it. Like, don't get so ingrained.
Don't get sucked in, but also
get
sucked in because it's amazing.
Just sucked into the point where you can get out. But just no. TikTok is here to stay.
Yes.
And
I don't care what anyone says. I'm keeping it.
Well, this is another episode of Slice of Life. It's raining outside. Kasey meets world. This was a great podcast. We talked about travel. We talked about technology. We talked about some of the ins and outs of what an explorer, traveler, nomadic person ends up doing. And this is Kasey's side of travel, her perspective on everything. I'm so glad you guys tuned in. Just hit that like, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to put up her info just so you know where to find her. Kasey Meets World. Guys, thank you for tuning in to the Slice of Life, the new and improved podcast. Kasey, if you want to just look at the camera, just wave goodbye.
Oh,
man, hitting that mic.
I am
everywhere.
so bad at this.
This is what I'm trying to do right now, is just trying to fix everything up. But it looks good.
That's
But guys,
okay. Hi, guys.
I'll see you later.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.